So guys, one more time, welcome. Thank you very much for your time. It's really greatly appreciated. It's after 5 p.m., so everybody has a private life, yeah? And you just introduce yourself. We represent Polish Chamber of Commerce Australia. We are a not-profit organization operating. We have been operating for over 20 years. We are not for profit. We are volunteers. It's our mission, it's our purpose, just to help people who want to leverage from business opportunities in Australia and Poland or Central Europe as well. As a matter of fact, I may ask you a question, guys. When you assess the business, when you look at any business or business opportunity, what kind of information, or when a business goes to the bank, what kind of information usually are expected to deliver by the business? Like, we can assess the business based on the past. Is it correct? Like financials, like profit and loss, like balance sheet and stuff like this. Yes?
Yeah.
We can assess the business based on the current situation, based on current economic situation, current cash flow, or maybe some legal stuff. And would it be a good idea maybe to think a little bit in advance? Because in the current environment, we know everybody what kind of an environment it is. It's a new era, COVID-19. We've got global financial crisis. Is it good to make business decisions based on the past only?
Yeah, actually, in my opinion, and that one of the reasons I came to Australia is that the geopolitical situation is shifting now, and this Asia is becoming probably in a few years the richest region in the world. So the business opportunity would come along.
Yes.
So I think this broader approach, not focused on Europe or the USA now, and maybe that's why we cannot any longer rely on our past experience. We have to move forward and look forward. And that's quite interesting, but it's very risky as well from the business perspective, because obviously for us, from the European, the Asia environment is completely different. So it's like a big challenge for us to adjust and to try to find some common language with the people in Asia. So I think this geopolitical approach is very important now in business.
Thomas, so true. Geopolitical situation has completely changed. Yeah, and exactly what you said. We need to think in advance. We need to anticipate. We need to see current trends, understand them, and adjust our businesses. Whatever business we run, could be a big multi-million-dollar business operating on the international market, can be a small business as well. We need to anticipate, Sebastian. Would you agree? We need to accommodate to the current situation, yeah, and think how the situation will look like in 6 months' time, 1 year time, in 2 year time. Yeah, I believe the world will never be the same again. I believe we've got great challenges, but behind every challenge there's a great opportunity as well. That's my personal approach, because the whole old system has been a little bit reshapen. It means we can grow and benefit from new industries. As a matter of fact, other industries in Australia and Poland that are flourishing at the moment, not suffering, but flourishing and booming. What do you think? Definitely they are. Guys, everything is IT. What kind of software are we using now? Zoom. Zoom has grown by 50% within few months. All communication tools. Online shipping is booming in Australia. That's what we know. Anything related to well-being and health is booming as well. Supplement market. So there are quite a few industries, of course. Netflix, all the entertainment area is flourishing. They're not suffering. eBay, Amazon, they're really growing very fast in the current situation. Yeah, and of course there are businesses that have been affected very badly. Of course, all the tourist industry, airlines, and sorry, it happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact is that the situation is changing every day, and like for last year, China was the biggest business partner for Australia. Yes. And I think in the few next years, maybe the situation will change completely because of the trade war, which is on the horizon between Australia and China. So maybe that's why the Australia would refocus on the European direction, maybe. So maybe that's the opportunity for business, like person from me or other persons in Europe to try to make some business with Australia, because Australia probably will be forced to looking for other business partners.
Tomasz, hallelujah. I'm so glad you mentioned, the Chinese factor, because at the moment, it's not my words, but what we can see in Australia. Last year, we had a political interference into Australian government. At the moment, we are at the stage of economic war. And what was recently announced by Australian Prime Minister, Australia is investing billions of dollars into defense industry. And they told why? To avoid the war. And they indicated exactly with which country. Because China is probably one of the most powerful economies in the world, and probably will be one of the most powerful in the future, and it's expanding very rapidly. Yeah, we can listen 60 minutes on Australian news and hear about, I don't know, probable attempts of establishing some Navy bases in Fiji or PNG and stuff like this. So this is direct threat to Australian economy. And what you said, Tomasz, we can anticipate that we know already that Australia is reshaping the whole economy. We need to establish production industry in Australia. This is amazing, yeah? So there's another massive opportunity with people who are entrepreneurs and they want to start doing something in Australia. We need to implement a lot of technologies to enable this production process in Australia from somewhere in the world. From whereabouts? I don't know. Of course, we represent Polish Chamber of Commerce Australia. Poland is very advanced country with amazing technologies. We just need to show in Australia and introduce the Australian market. Australian government announced which areas will be growing specifically. What are 8 national investment priorities? So of course, we talk about resources, but I believe renewable energy will be booming in Australia. We've got companies from Poland with sophisticated solutions for renewable energy. We would like to implement them in Australia. Of course, there will be advanced manufacturing. We need more advanced manufacturing in Australia, and we need technologies. Digital technologies, what we're talking, they are booming. And this is also national investment priority. Agri-food, we need to export. We used to export to China, but we've got some embargo on barley and whatever other agri-food, yeah? And we can produce approximately, we can feed 70, 80 million people. And we are only 25 million in Australia. So we need to find new export markets. Health, anything related to health, guys, yeah? It's like 80% of components for any medicines in the world are produced in China. They can't buy some basic medical supplies in Germany, for instance, yeah? So there's another opportunity. Of course, infrastructure will be very important in Australia, and so-called circular economy. Circular economy is a fancy word for using the things one more time, not just disposing them like the mobile phones, but thinking how the thing can be reused again, yeah? Instead of chucking out the fridge, thinking and finding a technology how to use the old fridge and build a new fridge, or maybe build something new. So these are announced officially 8 national investment priorities for Australia. Of course, guys, how many Polish big organizations do operate in Australia? Do you know anything about this? Or medium?
No, not many.
Not many. Guys, I know one successful direct investment. I knew 3 direct investments into Australian economy made by Polish businesses. 2 were from mining industry. We introduced ourselves, one of them, and gave everything back to the owners. They went bankrupt after 3 years. Another direct investment from mining industry went bankrupt. The only successful at the moment is England in Australia. And how many companies from Germany are present in Australia? for instance. Hips. It's also about the other direction for Australian companies. It's also opportunity for Polish or Central European markets, because whenever we speak in Australia about Europe, what is the general perception in Australia about Europe? Which countries do come to mind in Australia when we speak about Europe?
Germany,
UK, England, France.
Yeah.
But Poland, where is Poland? Could be Georgia, could be Kazakhstan, yeah? And Central Europe is flourishing. We are booming, and Poland is really sophisticated. So that's what you said, guys. It's a massive opportunity for Australian exporters to establish their activities in Europe, in the whole European Union, and maybe using Poland as a gate. As a matter of fact, we are in the process of signing. There's another massive opportunity that we need to think in advance. We are in the process of signing free trade agreement between Australia and European Union. That will be exciting, yeah? No tariffs, simplified process, synchronization of many procedures and standards that are completely different, yeah? And it will happen probably by the end of this year. It's good to remember that free trade agreement is coming between European Union and Australia. Of course, there is another free trade agreement now in the process between UK and Australia because of Brexit, yeah? So yeah, that's another opportunity for Australian businesses, yeah?
Yeah, the question is, and I don't have an answer, maybe you guys have the answer, if it's possible without any political support, without the support from the Polish government or the, I don't know, Polish officials here, if we can do it on our own or without any like support from the above. That's the question. I don't know it. Maybe I hope that is possible, but yeah, I don't know.
Like Tomasz, to be very open, in the past, because 2 years ago, Pike opened its office in Sydney. So some kind of support for Polish businesses, yeah, they would like to enter Australian market. Nevertheless, Pike is a government agency. So they cannot represent a company in Australia. We cannot travel, guys. It's another opportunity. Why? Polish businesses, they can't travel to Australia. So we can help them on the ground. Australian businesses, they can't travel to Europe. We can help them on the ground. It's another massive opportunity for setting up direct representation this way or another. And it must happen, yeah? We use online, but some things can be done online and some cannot. We need people on the ground. We need people in Australia to support Polish businesses and people on the ground in Poland to support Australian businesses. And Pike is a government agency. They can provide some information, some market understanding, but they cannot represent the business.
Yeah, the fact is, sorry, can I?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that the framework, the legal framework in European Union, and the same is with Poland, is completely different than here. So yes, for sure, they will require some assistance on the ground there. So, for example, from yes, the legal professionals and from the attorneys like me, I think it's like the good direction as well. And I think it's a good idea. Maybe it's advice for other people to come to Australia to get some knowledge about systems here, about the system of law here.
Yes.
And then using knowledge of European system on the ground in Poland. So maybe I think it's maybe in the future it would be helpful as well. So I think we should have in our mind that that's the way, that's the opportunity maybe in the future.
And Tomasz, you are so right, yeah, because there are two different systems, legal system, also business systems. You need to know how to establish a company in Poland. You need to understand how to run a business in Australia. And it's pretty much different, not to mention, culture, business culture factors, yeah? And people, many times I have met many Europeans coming to Australia and they think they can speak English and they can run business immediately on the ground. It's not so easy, yeah, in Australia. It takes time to understand. And in Australia, what Australia really likes and loves? Everything what is Australian. And maybe German cars, yeah? Guys, for Australian companies, there is a massive support from Australian government. Probably we've got the best support for businesses in the world. I have never heard about any other country supporting with job keeper and job seeker, not to mention export market development grants. I still meet with Australian companies. They have no idea about the EMDG scheme, export market development grant. Every Australian business that export any goods or services is eligible for reimbursement of 50% of all marketing costs. Yeah, and they still don't know about this in Australia, and they just increased the EMDG from 60 billion to 207 billion. It's the biggest EMDG fund in the history of Australia, and Australian businesses still don't leverage from this. Another thing was established recently, it's International Freight Assistance Mechanism. Because we need to ship goods. We can't fly, but we still can ship goods both ways, yeah? And for Australian businesses, is another opportunity, yeah? They can leverage from the support of this EA, International Freight Assistance Mechanism, yeah? So just sharing what is happening now. And Australia has to redirect its export only from China, from easy and closed markets. Australia has to implement new technologies, has to establish production in Australia, and that's direction we're going in the future.
Yeah, the question is open. I don't know the cost of the shipping, the cost of the transports, and other factors which we have to take under consideration. Maybe that will be obstacle we have to override somehow and overcome. So the cost of doing business, because like the distance is huge, right? So
It
is. So probably that would be something that we have to think about and consider. But still, I think it's not that big obstacle that we wouldn't. That I think it's manageable for sure.
Gosh, what I believe from a little bit, experience, the biggest distance is our mental distance between Central Europe and Australia. Because what's the cost difference of shipping something to UAE, for instance, I don't know, to Middle East, or a little bit further to Australia? The cost is there is not much difference really. If you send bulk quantities and everything is, and the cost is distributed by, I don't know, 1,000 or few thousand items, yeah, whatever we send, yeah. And logistics is better than ever. Cargo planes can fly. We've got direct connection between Warsaw and Australia thanks to Qatar Cargo Airways, yeah. So goods still can be sent, yeah. Guys, any questions? Because I don't want to make it long. I don't want to make it long. I want to make it short and sweet. Yeah, sharing a lot of possibilities at the moment for people who want to find these possibilities. Yeah, we've got industries that will be heavily invested in Australia. I believe Polish exporters and Polish companies they can start looking into Australian market, not just a place to go for holidays, but to run a business with.
I think that the important factor is, you mentioned about this free trade agreement. So we have any information where the process will be concluded? I mean where this agreement will be signed?
Tomasz, it's a very complicated process, because they negotiate brands, names, they synchronize the whole system. They've got books like this, they've been negotiating. But Australia at the moment is pushing very strongly to finalize everything by the end of this year. So I believe, realistically, it will be the beginning of the next one, yeah? And guys, it's not far away. We've got already July. We've got a new financial year that started on 1st of July in Australia.
So actually, we don't have much time because probably the German companies wouldn't wait for us and they would penetrate the market very fast. So I think
Thomas, what you're saying, time is now to start now. once free trade agreement is signed, because you have to be established already on the market, yeah?
Exactly.
Or if Polish company wants, they may establish their subsidiary in Australia, which is not very complicated process. We have done this. We have established a company for spółka akcyjna or for a big, massive Polish company, and they can send the goods between the subsidiaries, yeah, to leverage from the ownership, and if they want to keep the whole IP. So, guys, any questions from your side for the end, if I may ask, please?
Not much questions. I'm a good listener. That's why. Just something new for me. You know, just I never export anything from Poland. That's why from Europe. I used to work on the ships. I know something. I used to work on the container ships like 7 years, and for Maersk, the Danish company. But something like export something from Europe will be something new for me. That's why is to listen to you guys and just mirror you, and you know, just there will be some knowledge for me.
But Sebastian, we talk because we talk in general terms a little bit. Yeah, we talk about big cooperation between two continents. And Sebastian, as a matter of fact, the situation we are facing at the moment is a great situation for any kind of entrepreneur. We need to find opportunities on the market. Like I run international business relations, but I also run a small business company here in Australia, and I have adjusted everything. Yeah, I just listen on YouTube, I watch news, and I constantly think where we are heading, how the world will look like in 6 months, in 1 year. What technologies, which industries are growing and flourishing, yeah? Because everything is doomed. No.
Yeah, I know. It's really interesting what's going on now in Australia, because they're opening the doors with, like, you know, just I'm really surprised with government decisions. Like they want to invest so much millions of dollars in army, and you know, just
billions.
Yeah, billions. Yeah, exactly. That's why, you know, just the market is really open here, and I think, you know, just it's a good moment that Corona-19 is not really an excuse for to do good business. I think, you know, just yeah, and it's a lot of opportunities, but yeah, it's just I think we need a little bit luck as well, you know, with all this situation what is on the world now. That's why I think, you know, just the good contacts, that is first thing, you know, just the contacts, they make the deals, and, you know, just and ideas, yeah, for the business.
Yep, and execution.
Yeah.
Wojciech, you are in a very good industry, health sector.
Recession proof. Everyone wants to live longer, so everyone will continue to spend more money on living longer. So
yep.
The future of healthcare is in drugs. It's not in surgery. We've Pareto chart. We've achieved as much as we can. We will continue to increase our quality of life with surgical surgical intervention. It'll give us little small improvements, but we can invest in drugs that give some people an extra 20 years worth of life if they have a chronic condition.
Yeah.
So it's all around sourcing materials, and this is the issue of China. China actually was the source of a number of chemicals which were critical to the manufacturing of a lot of the drugs.
Exactly.
So I think supply chains will realign around political allies, as opposed to historical supply chain was where can we get it cheaper? Where's the cheapest labor force in the world? Okay, I'm going to go to the third world country, or I'm going to go to China. They're going to go, no, where are my political allies that I can trust in a time of need? And that is where the new supply lines will occur. And that puts Poland in a great position, because there's a lot of trust between Australia and Poland and the US and UK. So I think it doesn't surprise me that the free trade agreement is being pushed through, whichever. It's it's a bilateral, isn't it? It's with the EU. It's not directly.
Yes, with EU. Yes.
EU.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, I think there'll be a complete realignment in the next decade around supply chains that would be important for us to take a look at, understand, and predict. More importantly.
Wojciech, so true. Such a good example. Thank you very much. Do appreciate, because supply chain, exactly like you said, is not about the cheapest like it used to be just a few months ago. Of course, economy of scale will be still important, but both Australia and Poland, they think in terms of political stability, of security, national security. Yeah.
Yep.
Guys, from my side, that's everything. So really, thank you very much for your time.
Yep.
I believe it's great time also in Australia. Opening the business has never been easy in Australia. Hiring people in Australia has never been easier. Hallelujah. For big businesses and small businesses, yeah?
Exactly.
Thank you very much for your time.
No worries.
Do appreciate. I just promised also to go to Poland, renewable energy company trying to get into Australia. Amazing technology, yeah? Charging the cars using solar energy, stuff like this, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Have a good night.
All
Bye.
the best. Appreciate.